everyone, this is Anastasia from Phoenix Nightingale, A Healing Revolution. And today I'm here in our chakra series talking about our third eye chakra. So on our chart, it is here right in the middle of the head in a royal blue or indigo blue color is what it represents. Okay. So, you know, as we've done this series of chakras, and again, one ties into the next. So if there's a block in one, what does it mean for me? You know, what does it mean if it's doing this or it's doing this? So let me tell you what the third eye does, right? So most people, I would think, could imagine what it is. It has to do with our intuition, our imagination, and our higher level intelligences. In our society, you know, we tend to over-intellectualize things. It's better if you're smart, it's better if you have knowledge. Now, it's not that those things are bad, but when we over-intellectualize things, it really cuts us off from accessing an immense amount of knowing, direct knowing, that comes right from the universe or God or spirit. And it's really important for us to be able to access those things. Now, it's interesting because when there's a healing protocol that I use called Arasoma, and in that we have what are called pomanders. And when we put them on, we actually do this thing where we roll behind here, which is the third eye, right? And again, here you go, right here. So this is where we do first. It's like right here. And what it's supposed to be doing is erasing old thoughts and feelings that don't serve us. And in neuro-linguistic programming, which I took as a coach, you talk about the human mind and creating certain movies about their lives and things that don't serve them anymore, and they have to let them go. And people don't realize that the subconscious activates those things all the time. So when we're talking about the unconscious, subconscious, higher self, and conscious minds, you know, we're dealing sort of all in here, right? You know, the crown's involved as well, but this is where, you know, yes, we see with our eyes, but there's so much more to see, so much more beyond what we see physically. There are other realms, dimensions, there's things all around us at all times that because we're trained to sort of compartmentalize things or actually just focus on certain things, because the actual analytical mind can only grasp so many concepts in a period of time, that there's things that are basically just not seen. It's funny, there was a time where people come to my office and they're like, was this wall always this color? And you're like, yeah, it's literally been there. Or somebody came in and said recently, what did they say? They said, has that rug always been there? Because, oh, you just got rugs? And I'm like, they've literally been here since the day I got here. Or, you know, it's funny what people notice or what they don't notice or why. So that's kind of like, where's your mind been going? What are you really focusing on? Are you able to really, again, this has to do with the whole essence of being, and when it's all really working, can you open up your mind and can you see what you need to see, so it helps you actually use what your intuition is for, which is, you know, perceptions, intuitive perceptions, visual perceptions, and discernment, like making decisions by communicating with a higher source and bringing them in and working it all out together. So here's the other thing. We just talked about creativity with the throat chakra and the sacral chakra, and this has to do with the imagination. You know, when you're a kid, it's just like the imagination's all over the place. I remember just being outside and like, I don't know, it was just like I was somewhere else, like somewhere else. And other people I know, you know, they had the imaginary friend, and okay, well, what were you really accessing there? What kind of dimension were you accessing there? What kind of gifts do you actually have? And because they're not supported in our society, then, you know, they're just not cultivated and developed. So there's a lot of things out there now that want to help us do that, which is really exciting and it's fun. And again, it's not to put any pride on top of it. It's just, you know, like Cindy, she is somebody who, you know, with her, who she is, who she came in her astrological chart says it. She is a magnificent intuitive that can talk to the dead, that can talk to angels without even thinking twice. It doesn't mean that you can't talk to your own ancestors or your own angels or guides, but for some of us it just takes a little bit more work. I intuit a little bit differently than she does, but it's still a really powerful thing. So when we learn how to use those gifts, it becomes something more like tapping into something beyond who we are outside of here. And that's called wisdom. And in most like native societies in the world that existed, which aren't too many these days, especially here in America, they used to have the elders, right? Like, oh, you go to the elders. They've lived a life. They've accessed the other side. They can tell you what's going on because you're still learning, you know, because you're younger. You know, ideally, you've had less experience in life. Yes, there are people that are extraordinary, that are blessed, that have certain things they're coming in with, you know, like Mozart with music, but it doesn't mean that they don't need guidance or help from people that are actually here, right? So it's the elders, and this is the wisdom. They've allowed themselves to develop through their lifetime, so they have wisdom to share, and they can access it very easily. And then you see the movies too, where, you know, they have the wisdom, they tell the younger person, and they don't listen. Or they tell somebody who doesn't know, they don't, or they think they know, but they don't know. You know, wisdom is a tricky thing, right? It's like you have it to offer, doesn't mean everybody wants it. I think it was the book I read, The Alchemist. And towards the end of the book, there's a man, and you know, he meets the alchemist, and he has these things in his bag, and they're gifts, and one of his which like it just changes lead into gold, and the other one is like a fountain of youth, and he goes, they are almost captured, and he tells these people, he goes, oh yeah, this is what's in the bag, and the guy's like, don't tell them, they're gonna want it, and the guy laughed, and he was like, oh, you fool. No, not everybody wants it. Not everybody wants that wisdom or that truth that they can have. So the third eye, being, again, another mental center, it is used for thinking. But again, expand to the right and left brains instead of just using one. You know, it is proven through actually super learning that if you put your brain into an alpha state, that it will absorb things without you doing anything other than relaxing into it. So I hope that this third eye lesson helps. Again, if you'd like to leave a comment underneath so that we know anything that you're still missing, or you have questions so we can create more from that, make sure to subscribe to our page and like this video. And Cindy will be coming up right after this with her video on the third eye and an angelic message for you. Be well.